Hello, everyone. Chris from 6 Plus Plus here, and welcome along to my journey as I don the gunmetal power armor of the Grey Knights and prepare to take on the foul denizens of the Warp. Or, in fact, anyone that looks at me a bit funny. So, as I said, welcome everyone. This is a brand new series. Really excited to be doing it. And what I'm going to be focusing on is, as you can probably tell, the Grey Knights and my journey with them. I've been playing a very long time. I've been playing the same faction for a very long time, and I'm really keen for something new, and seemed like a good opportunity for some more content. So, this is, as I said, this is a brand new series. This isn't like a one-off episode or anything like that. So here's what you can expect to see over the next however many episodes I do this for. So obviously this is going to be me tracking my progress with the Grey Knights. It's kind of a video diary, if you will, looking to release an episode once a week, maybe once a fortnight, depending on what I've got to talk about and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's going to be consistent. I'm going to be talking about list building. So how does my list build over time? How does it differ from singles to teams and all that sort of thing? I'm going to be sharing everything I learn. Obviously, there's a lot of wonderful content out there already, but I'll no doubt pick up some tips and tricks as I play, and I'll make sure I share those with you, maybe even with battlefield demonstrations. Um, Tournament reports is going to be a big part of this. I'm going to be taking these guys to as many events as I can, so I'll always have an episode where I run through each game, and I'll be able to use that to help all Grey Knight players build up a bit of a matrix in terms of how matchups go and what you should do and shouldn't do into different armies. And when it comes to team events, if you're thinking about filling out that matrix, then hopefully we'll be able to build like almost a community matrix to sort of deal with that and help inform everyone. And actually, in line with that, I'm hoping to build up a good Grey Knight community. We've got a fantastic Tyrannid one from one of our players, Davey, who runs Bugwatch, and I'd like a Grey Knight one. This video is kind of, or this series has been inspired by Tom, who's doing a lot of work with Drakari as well. So if you do like Drakari, make sure you check out his series, which will be very similar to this. In terms of this specific episode, so I'm going to be telling you why I want to be playing Grey Knights. I'm then going to go through the strengths and weaknesses of the faction as I see it. I'm going to talk about the latest points update, which has dropped literally 2 days before I record this video. And then finally, I'm going to be talking to you about the list that I'm taking to the Saffron Slam GT, which is at the time of recording a week away. And I'm really excited to be going to that one for my first tournament outing ever with Grey Knights. So, why Grey Knights for me personally? For the last 2 years, I've been playing Eldar, and obviously they've been really strong in 10th, so I've been enjoying some success with them. I'm kind of at the stage now where it's time for a new challenge. I think the Eldari MSU build is still a very good one, and it will do lots of work, and I could quite easily carry on playing it, but it's the same sort of game every time, and I would like a change. So in terms of available collections for me, I've got Necrons, I've got Admech, I've got Custodes, but the Grey Knights are an army I've always wanted to kind of have a go at. I just never really got around to doing it. So now is the time. And you know what? As I said, my Grey Knight interest has started ever since that hallowed Demon Hunter book, which so many people kind of refer to. I love that book, like reading all the rules. The Grey Knights Omnibus, the book series. If you've never checked that out and you're a Grey Knight fan, definitely read that. Justica, Alaric. Oh, I've read that first one like I suppose 7 or 8 times now. It's so good. So yeah, there's lots of wonderful lore about the faction. It really interests me. And finally, the play style. I really like armies with lots of tricks, and Grey Knights obviously are quite well known for that. Hopefully, that doesn't change as and when the Codex comes out. But I'm looking forward to just really, really irritating my opponent, basically. So, what do I see as the strengths of the army? Well, as we all know, in 40k, movement is king. Um, you very rarely get high quality armies that are slow, and Grey Knights have just so many wonderful ways of being quick. Be it their auto advance 6 inches and fly, be it the Dread Knights being able to fall back, shoot and charge, and advance and shoot and charge. Obviously, all the teleporting shenanigans mean they can just get around the board really quickly and always giving your opponent headache. So because of that, that's got to be one of their main strengths. And in line with that to an extent is, they're just the masters of the jank. Like you think about their stratagems, like such as Mr. Deimos, think about Sigil of Exigence, like that sort of stuff is just such an amazing way of getting in your opponent's head and just outsmarting them really. So it's you can really trap players into impossible situations by using some of their tricks, which is really appealing and obviously makes them really strong. Army wide, basically, they have a 2-up save. Obviously, we know that cover is incredibly easy to get in the game, and that's not as great when you've got a 3-up save because obviously it doesn't go down to a 2-up save. But the fact we can baseline have that 2-up save and we've got a 3-up save against AP2, and you use our stratagem, which is obviously Armor of Contempt, the True Silver one, which gets you to basically a 2-up against -2. Like that really helps your resilience. So it's a great strength. This army does take a lot of skill to use, and therefore it's got a high ceiling. So if you are a very good player and you know good 40k, you are going to get good yardage out of this army. So the ceiling is high. It's not like one of those armies where lots of people can just pick it up and run it and do really well. It's not like that. But if you are a good player, you're going to really benefit and be able to maximize this faction's ability and potential. As I mentioned, the strats are really good. There's just a good core of stratagems. I mean, you've got stuff like Dev Wounds, which people don't really use that often. But you've got the AOC, you've got Mists. They're so powerful. You've got being able to become Assault or get +1 to hit and that sort of thing. Obviously, the 3-inch Deep Strike that's pretty tasty as well. So yeah, there's lots of wonderful things there. And finally, because of their movement, they play the secondary game really well. Obviously, that's half the battle, isn't it, these days? So they can score most of their cards pretty consistently. They're one of the few armies that are really good at capture enemy outposts as well. So that's always quite a nice bonus. But obviously, it's not all fun and games. So in terms of their weaknesses, the way I see it, their output's not great. In combat, basically all the infantry are strength 6 -2 damage, which is it's okay. It feels all right, but it's not great. They don't have really any access to rerolls. So, and then in terms of their anti-tank, it's again like the Dread Knights. It's okay, but it's not amazing. So although their output is nothing to be frowned upon, actually it's not anywhere near as strong as many of the other armies in the game. On top of that, I mean, I was talking about the 2-up save, and that's great, but it only gets you so far. I mentioned here they're an elite army, and lots of people can just chop through you still with the AP3, AP4 shooting, especially if you show them too many targets and you can't Armor of Contempt in. You can only Armor of Contempt in one place, right? So if you don't play them well, then they are and give your opponent lots of chances just to shoot and clear you out, then actually they're not going to be that resilient as well because they are just Space Marines at the end of the day. And although they have a high ceiling, they also do have a low floor. If you're quite an inexperienced player, you're probably going to struggle with this army. I know I've played a few games now and I've made lots of mistakes. And I've been playing for quite a while and I feel like I should get a decent grip of this army quite quickly. So, they're not beginner friendly. Being elite has its, various issues. As soon as you start losing a unit or two, you start to really struggle, and you might well just get overwhelmed by hordes. And then finally, the primary. Now, I put a question mark here because at face value, you might think they play the primary quite well, and I think they can do. With like units of Terminators or Paladins with the banner. Terminators at OC3 each, like That's really good. And sticky objectives with your strikes, that's really great as well. The problem is you don't have many units, as we said, because you're elite, and you're always wanting to pick up models. And that can obviously create a bit of an issue because you don't want to be picking up models sometimes because of the primary. Certainly is their weaker part of the game, but they can be quite good at primary denial, especially with a 3-inch deep strike. So primary isn't terrible, but there are situations where it could be a weakness, and your opponent could absolutely exploit it. So, if you're watching this, you'll know that recently we had a points update and things changed slightly. At first glance, it's not really that bad. So, what changed? Well, Librarian went up ever so slightly, Tech Marine went up 10 points, the Dread Knights went up 10 points, and all the power armor stuff went down a point per model. So, you're thinking, it's not actually that bad, just drop a model, really? Surely. When you start looking at the lists that are doing well, actually, what it means is you end up losing a whole unit. So there was one list, the Jack Harpster list, which was basically 4 Dread Knights, a unit of Paladins with the Grandmaster with Sigil, and then Drago with 10 Terminators, 5 strikes. That's basically the list. That's now 2025 points. And in order to run that list, basically, you have to drop a Dread Knight. And as soon as it goes down to 3 Dread Knights, then what do you replace that with? There isn't anything really that fills that role. You kind of have to substitute it for a unit of something and acolytes, and it just feels like it loses a little bit. So you're basically losing a whole unit in your list, depending on what list you're running, and it makes the maths quite tricky now. So I think Grey Knight players might be, once they get building lists, they might be a bit surprised at how much of an issue it is. Fundamentally, though, you can still go the full mech if you want. Obviously we had people like Manny and Vic running 5-6 Dread Knights and 3 Land Raider Redeemers. People are running Canis Rex in there. And that's still fully on the cards, and you're probably just dropping a Tech Marine off the list now. So that's just something to be aware of, but it's absolutely still going to be strong, especially in sort of the teams format. Once upon a time, at the last WTC, when Eldari and GSC ruled the roost, Jack Harpster took 30 Terminators, went down as first defender, and drew with Eldar every game, and kind of like shocked everyone a bit. And it might well be that Dread Knights go away and we can try our triple Terminators. So it's 20 Terminators and 10 Paladins. You do have to be a good player to use this. I used it once and it was challenging, but you could also see the untapped potential there. I don't really want to paint 20 more Terminators at the moment, but I could see me trying out this list and seeing how it goes. I think it'd be a really good drawing army or small win army. But again, obviously, you're not leaning into the Dread Knights, who are pretty decent and probably still quite point efficient at the moment, but definitely triple Terminator builds might be back on the menu. And of course, you have still got your MSU style thing, and that in theory has improved now because Power Armor Grey Knights went up point, or they went down a point a model. And you go, oh, cool. Maybe I could do something. And what does it actually net you? Not very much at all. It Because the points of the army is so high, it's very unlikely to earn you an extra unit. I haven't done the math, so I couldn't tell you if you ran pure power armor, maybe you get in an extra strike squad now. I couldn't tell you that. Kind of would make sense, but it realistically, it wasn't good before. Well, it wasn't top tier before, so it's very unlikely to have changed. You still got the same limitations you did have, but if we see hordes coming back, then we might be wanting to lean back into the purifiers, and they're obviously going to be great into things like orcs. So that is a potential tech piece that we might end up seeing. You can lean into the anti-horde stuff, and as we see orcs in teams and maybe lots of unending swarm in Tyranids, maybe Grey Knights will be that faction who try and hunt down a horde type army with lots of purifiers and stuff. Who knows? We will see. So, as I said, I have got the Saffron Slam GT coming up. Very excited. I haven't played a competitive tournament game or Grant GT tournament game for like 2 months now. I've been taking a bit of a break. So I'm really excited to see what I can do. I had various lists pre-points that I was trying out. Um, this list kind of comes with a bit of an asterisk. Okay, so first of all, my main priority at the moment is we've got a team event coming up at the end of May, the International Team Tournament as part of the UKTC Team Circuit. The last one we came fourth, and we're obviously hoping to do well again. And so that's what my goal is in terms of preparation. I want to get a good feeling of 5 different matchups from Matrix for this event. So because of that, I'm not taking, or I never even entertained the thought of taking Imperial Agents because I'm not going to be able to take them in the team event. One of my teammates will be. And also, I wanted to play with the new points. This event is using old points. So at old points, this list comes out at 1975. At new points, this list comes out at 2000. So it will mean that potentially I could run into like Guard or Iron Storm or something like that, something which has been nerfed a bit, and I will be a bit of a disadvantage compared to what I would be at the team event. So there is that. Bear in mind. So yeah. Anyway, so here is the list. So the list before the points was very similar to this. So this is what I had beforehand. I had 2 Grandmasters with Sigil, had Drago. I had 3 Tech Marines, and I had 1 unit of Strikes, 1 unit of Interceptors, 3 Dread Knights, and the 10 Terminators. So essentially, I've lost 2 of the Tech Marines and gained a unit of Strikes, kind of basically. Oh, and a enhancement I had +1 to charge. So that was the previous list, and now I have switched to this after moving the points around a little bit. I should definitely point out this list was inspired by 40k Dirtbags, another channel. Derek, who runs it, he is a top tier Grey Knights player. He does a lot of wonderful content, so check those guys out. And he was running a list. It was the basic idea of 5 Dread Knights and the 10-man Terminator. And I like that as a mix between the Harpster list and the full mech list. I wanted that middle ground because as a player, I like using stuff. I like doing tricks. I'm not very good at working out when to push and when to go all out and throw stuff into the opposition because I don't play armies like that, so I'm not experienced with that. So I didn't really want to go full mech. And the thing with the Harpster list, which now kind of doesn't exist in its form, as I said, is that it's really on the edge. Like I remember one game I played with it, I lost 5 strikes quite quickly on turn 2, and I really struggled with just losing that 1 unit. So I wanted that halfway house, and this is what I have settled on. So 2 Grandmasters with and one obviously has Sigil. Got to take Sigil, such a good enhancement. The idea here is, I mean, the way I kind of see it is it's a free round of shooting. You just 3-inch in their back lines and just blap, 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 and then, oh, you shot me, haha, and then off you pop. That's obviously one way of playing it. There are lots of tricks and that sort of thing you can use for it, and just try and get close to something that is going to have to move, and then you might be your missed target. You can use it to do that, and then mists away or teleport away. Like there's so many tactics there. So got to take that. So I've got 2 of those. Then I've got Caldor Drago. He is of course with the 10 Terminators, and again that along with kind of like the 3-inch deep striking Sigil guy. It's how I've kind of been using them, is kind of like turn 2 or maybe turn 3, but usually turn 2. You can throw out these units and then move block and charge and chop stuff up, and then they get to run away, right? So, you put your Grandmaster Sigil down somewhere, shoot and kill something, your Terminators charge in, shoot something, tag something else. Then your opponent's got to fall back with them, or they won't be able to shoot the Terminators, and that's when you get to Mists Away. And then boom, suddenly these two things that they were hoping to deal with are now kind of out there. And that's kind of it's. And then you play the turn 3, 4, 5, just try and deny your opponent, screw secondaries, which you're really good at, and get tabled slowly. It's kind of how I see the army playing. Obviously, the Terminators getting that +3 to their charge with Drago is really good. They kill some stuff. They can regen. Mists is really nice because you can obviously be one side of the wall and then mist to the other side of the wall, which is always a potential option. And I think the more I play that unit, the better I'll get at kind of using it in terms of positions and thinking about the different plays that I can make with it. There's one Tech Marine here, just at the points. Obviously, he can give one of the Dread Knights +1 to hit. He can heal them, and it's just another unit that's probably low op, probably, and can kind of be picked up and just thrown away sometimes just for points. 2 units of 5 strikes. Got to take one just for the sticking of your home field, really. But the second one, I've played one game of this so far, and having the second one was actually really good. Just being able to move block and block out walls and all that sort of thing, and just be a bit of a pain. And potentially, if a lot of action's going on one side of the board, being able to teleport over to the other one, sticky it, and then head back over for like turns 4 and 5 somewhere else. I think that's really nice. I've got a unit of interceptors. I just love Fire and Fade. I think it's so useful. I mean, said when I used this list, it got me, my opponent had put a Biovore smack bang in the middle of their home field objective, so I couldn't 3-inch deep strike, and that would be a problem, but not for the interceptors, who could drop down and then Fire and Fade onto it and steal it for capturing the outpost. So, it's just, they're always in your opponent's head. So, really like those. Not using them for output, you're using them to score points that you shouldn't have in the first place, really. 3 Dread Knights, they're great. No issues there. And then, as we said, the Terminators. Obviously, they have the Ancient Apothecary, and I've gone for Flamers just because the side cannons are a bit lame with -1 and no ignore cover. So yeah, I'm excited. I probably will have only played one game with this list. I might try and get a game in upcoming this week, maybe, but I'm gonna get 5 good games in. So in the next episode, I'm going to run through those 5 games. I'll be able to talk about kind of how the games went, what went well, what did I learn, how did the matchup go, what did I think of that matchup, and then review the list at the end. And what I'll be doing every episode from next week is I'll have a matrix up and I'll be filling it out as I go, so that you guys can kind of get an idea of where I think Grey Knights are and what they're good into and what they're not good into, and yeah, build upon that journey and see where the future takes me, really. So thank you very much for watching. If you could give us a like, maybe a comment, maybe even subscribe if you're not, that would be fantastic. And we do have membership options. Okay, so if you're a member, you get early access. We actually have a coaching service as well, which is really blossoming. I think we've got like 6 coaching clients at the moment. And we set up a player profile. We have regular calls. We play matches with you on TTS and lots sorts of things. So yeah, check out the membership options if you're interested. But yeah, I'm really excited for this Grey Knights journey. Hope you are too. So thanks a lot for watching and take care. Bye.